Yo, what up? This is Kyle Alexander, and my wife and I obtained over $500,000 in business credit in our household in under 2 years without leaving our home and leading busy, busy lives. Now, how did we do that? Today, I want to go into just that and reveal exactly the steps of what I did. And I'm looking forward to sharing with you so you can do it faster and even better than we did. So, first, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell notification because as we go through this channel, we're going to be revealing all sorts of gems and game that I wish I knew when I was starting, but I'm glad to see people just go further and faster than what I did. So let's get started. Now, number one, first, my personal credit, right? This is the foundation for everything as it relates to business credit. And I did not know, I kind of stumbled onto this because my personal credit was good, but I just wanted to break down, okay, well, how was my personal credit actually good? So what was it that was making up the personal credit situation? So for me, without even trying and going hard and using strategy or anything like that, what was it? One, I just paid all my stuff on time. I never used credit cards for anything that I wasn't planning on paying off. I paid everything off every month, or I just paid it off right away. I got pretty anal about that. I think I was maybe a little bit scared about credit from my dad, from my parents when I was growing up. So I knew I could use it, but I knew it was don't go there, don't touch it, don't do anything weird with it. Just if you're going to use it, leverage it for points, and then just get rid of it. So that's what I did. Now everything else was completely on auto pay. Anything that I did, if I didn't pay it off right away, I made sure that those were on so that I never had a late payment. And I also leveraged, if I had a car loan or an auto loan, I didn't have a house yet at the time, but for my student loans, I just made sure those were on auto pay and paid them every time. And as I went throughout the years and I got different credit cards for different things to leverage the points, and I had some pretty high limits, and I found out later that was actually a really good profile mix that qualified me for being in a good position when it comes to getting business credit. I just didn't know it at the time before I started. So I will get into that. But that was the baseline for everything. Now, thankfully, this was the same for my wife. She also had solid credit and some of those same practices going into it. Nothing extravagant, nothing crazy. Not going to just buy it and sit and pay interest forever. So there are ways, if that's not you, there are ways to fix and to mend your credit, and also to mend your practices, getting into things, and to make sure that you can set yourself up. And that's what I'm going to be going through in a lot of my other videos. But I just want to talk about what did I do? How did I get into it, and how did I succeed at it at this level and at that rate, right? So once I had that, number two was my business structure. Now, what I didn't have an LLC. I started from scratch completely in this game. So I didn't have any LLC. I got into real estate and took my first course and wanted to get into it. And so I opened an LLC in my home state of Maryland. And then we opened another LLC in Illinois where we were going to invest in real estate. So we had two LLCs. And once I learned, okay, we need to set this up properly. So what I did, I got a business address. I got a business phone number, right? I got a business fax number. I got my EIN. I got my DUNS number. I got myself added to 411 on listyourself.net, right? So, and I'll be happy to go into detail about some of those things, some of the critical points, especially, again, what I learned leading up to this point, and how I got it there, even not knowing everything. And then now that I'm on the tail end of it, exactly what I would do if I were to go back. Definitely want to share those in some future videos. But basically, I had those things to make my business look like a legit business, right? A business website, a business email that's a legit domain name email, right? So all those things actually helped a lot. And this was when I was starting to get intentional about, okay, what do I need to do to set things up? And I was just researching online and hearing different things, but that is what I did. Now, also at the same time, even though I didn't leverage this yet, And we'll talk about this more as we go forward, but I was starting to build what's called my corporate credit, or my EIN credit. And if you've ever heard of this, you can have your business use the EIN only to get different types of business credit, meaning like you're getting a vendor credit account, or a net 30 account, different things like that. If you don't understand any of that, then no worries. But those were certain things that I did do. So my business was developing its own credit profile, its own credibility at the same time. But the strategies that I'm going to share today all have to do with my personal credit. So once I had the personal credit, right, and then once I had the business structure together, then I went into my first funding, right? So, and this is where I found out about companies that will actually do the funding on your behalf. Now, again, very, very busy lives. My wife was full-time, working, and I was, working a number of different jobs, but I was very, very busy at the time, and I knew I didn't have time to go and research and figure out all this different stuff. So I found a company that will do funding, and this is a pretty common practice you'll find. And again, just sharing what I did, because I know a lot more now, and it's something that I can do for people as well now. But at the time, I found a company that will do a percentage-based funding, and this is the most common practice. And what you'll see is probably around 10%. To be exact, 9.96 or something like that, something crazy. I guess those marketing tricks still do actually work, because I would tell people, okay, it's 9%, but it was 10. So, but that 10% basically, and the kicker with that is you're paying on the back end for the funding that you get, and they call it like a success fee. So if they got you $10,000, then that 10%, let's just round it, would be $1,000 that you would owe, but then you could pay the $1,000 once you receive the actual card, right? So these business credit cards are 0% interest cards. So you get the 0% interest card. Let's say I got the card for $10,000, and then I use the card to pay, meaning that $1,000. All right, so that is $10 a month, right? Now, most credit cards are going to have a minimum, so you probably pay about $35 a month as a minimum. But just for math purposes, that $1,000 means I have to pay $10 a month on it, and at 0% interest for a year. So as long as I can pay back that $1,000 in a year with some sort of investment or some sort of business move, then it makes sense, right? So this is why this part of the strategy can be really, really powerful, but it can get, I guess it can get expensive, right? So what I did was, for those first two rounds, I did myself for one business, and then a couple months later, we did my wife for a different business. And through that first round, we got over 100,000, 57 from one, and then maybe 40 something from the other. And it was over $100,000 for that first round. And that was kind of mind blowing. Like, wow, I have access to this money. And we only had, about $10,000 that we had to cover with our investments and things like that. So next, how do we get to 500? This is the golden question. So next, then I found out about what I would call the flat rate option, right? So there are companies that will do a flat rate instead of a percentage-based rate, but you have to pay upfront, right? So they had a flat fee, and to be specific, at the time, it was around $4,000 for the flat fee. And what you get with that is 1 year's worth of as much funding as they can get you for 1 year, right? So this is a pretty big difference. Now, the other kicker to that is that with that funding for 1 year, you can add in a business partner or a spouse, right? So not only am I paying that flat rate to get as much funding as possible, but I can also leverage my spouse's personal credit and the other LLC that we had, and that's exactly what we did. So in that first go round, we got probably another 150,000, right? Between the two LLCs that we had. And so we were well above, if you want to do the math, we were well above what we would have paid if we had paid that percentage funding. But we had gotten in the door with that. And now we're able to do even more investments and even more mentorships and getting around amazing people and amazing content and information. So the next step basically is now to do a round of inquiry removal and kind of cleaning up the credit, and then going on and doing it again and doing another round of funding, right? So basically that process repeated. And to be totally honest, I had a crazy year that year. A ton of crazy personal stuff happening. Again, life was already busy. And amongst all of that, still made it, just stumbled our way over to 500,000. Now, this is across probably for each LLC, remember, probably like 35 cards total. 35 cards. Now, this is another thing that in my later videos, I'll be glad to share, but it takes a certain amount of strategy to be able to manage all those different cards and different payments and make sure things are on top. And sometimes you have to call the banks. So these are things that are kind of in between the lines that I'm really looking forward to sharing. But I wanted to just have this initial video just to show you like what is possible, right? And this is totally possible for you to get to that place. Again, if you're sitting on that good credit score and you have an LLC, or even if you don't, because I had just started my LLC, then that access is right there for you. And if you don't have that great credit score, then there are options. But the most important thing is to start today to get moving in that direction. So as we move forward, again, please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe and hit the bell, because we're going to be sharing a ton of great information for you to do the same thing, and not only how to get it, but how you can leverage it, how to avoid all the crazy mistakes that I made over the years. And for those who are following and subscribing, I'm going to be glad to give out some giveaways and some events and some private things and some cool stuff coming. So please stay tapped in. And I am just really itching for you to be in hot pursuit of your freedom, right? I know life is not promised, and I have a sense of urgency to make sure that I'm pushing for the max amount of freedom possible, financially and health-wise and otherwise, with my purpose and with family. And I want the same for everybody else. And I truly believe that you can do it as well. So take that first step, whatever that is today. And always, please make sure you have the right advice of somebody, because it's one thing to go out and do it. Taking action is awesome. But if you can take action, the right action under the right instruction, that combination is super powerful and super dangerous. So much love. I will see you next time. Peace.